Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Continuing in volume 2 of Riyad, as-Saliheen, book number 16, the book of dua, i.e. supplication, chapter 251, the excellence of supplicating in one's absence. Allah the Exalted says in Surah number 59, verse number 10, of which the meaning is, and those who came after them say, Our Lord, forgive us and our brethren who have preceded us in faith. Surah number 47, verse 19. And ask forgiveness for your sin, and also for the sin of believing men and believing women. Surah number 14, verse number 41. Our Lord, forgive me and my parents, and all the believers on the day when the reckoning will be established. Narrated Abu Darda radiyallahu anhu that I heard Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, whenever a Muslim supplicates for his Muslim brother in his absence, the angels say, may the same be for you also. Muslim. This hadith makes it evident that one who prays for someone in his absence also stands to benefit from it, because the angels appointed for the task of praying for those who pray for others will pray for him, saying, O Allah, grant him also the same which he has asked for others. Narrated Abu Darda radiyallahu anhu that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the supplication of a Muslim for his Muslim brother in his absence will certainly be answered. Every time he makes a supplication for good for his brother, the angel appointed for this particular task says, Ameen, may it be for you also. Chapter 252, some verdicts pertaining to supplications. Narrated Uthman bin Zayd radiyallahu anhuma that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he who is favored by another and says to his benefactor, Jazakallahu khairan, may Allah reward you well, indeed praise the benefactor satisfactorily. At-Tirmidhi. If one is unable to return someone's kindness with kindness, he should say, Jazakallah khairan, may Allah give you the best reward for it. This means I am unable to reciprocate your kindness. May Allah grant you the best reward for it. Obviously, there is no match for the reward that one gets from Allah. For this reason, the Prophet ﷺ said that it was the best of the praise for a benefactor. Narrated Jabir radiyallahu anhu that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, do not invoke curses on yourself or on your children or on your possession, lest you should happen to do it at a moment when the supplications are accepted and your prayer might be granted. Muslim. Almighty Allah always listens to everyone's prayer, but he has fixed certain time when he grants more prayers addressed to him. Therefore, one should never curse oneself or one's own children or one's own business, etc. Least this is done at the time when prayers are accepted by Allah, and then one has to regret it all his life. Narrated Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a slave becomes nearest to his Lord when he is in prostration, so increase supplications in prostration. Muslim. This hadith points out the excellence of supplicating while prostrating in salah, as one gets closer to Allah in this position. Narrated Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the supplication of every one of you will be granted if he does not get impatient and say, for example, I supplicated my Lord, but my prayer was not granted. as Bukhari and Muslim. The narration of Muslim is the supplication of a slave continues to be granted as long as he does not supplicate for a sinful thing or for something that would cut off the ties of kinship, and he does not grow impatient. It was says, O Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what does growing impatient mean? He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it is one saying, I supplicated again and again, but I did not think that my prayer will be answered. Then he becomes frustrated in such circumstances and gives up supplicating altogether. We learn from this hadith that one should continue beseeching Allah without ever thinking that in spite of praying for a long time, his prayer has not been granted. One should never allow frustration to overcome in his mind. If a person's supplication is not granted for a long time, there would be certainly some good for him in that delay, the reason of which is known to Allah alone. It is therefore essential that he should never cease to pray whether his prayer is granted or not. Persistent in prayer is certainly beneficial to him. Narrated Abu Umama radiyallahu anhu that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, at what time does the supplication find the greatest response? He sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, a supplication made during the middle of the part of the night, and after the conclusion of the obligatory prayers. At-Tirmidhi. Al-Akhir is the characteristic of Jawf, and in the present context, it means the late hour of night. Jawf can also mean middle, that is, in the latter half of the night. In other words, if the night is divided between two equal parts, then Jawf would be the middle of the second part. In either case, it is the time of the night which in other hadith has been termed as the third part of the night. It is the time when Almighty Allah comes to descend on the sky of the world. Prayers are also granted by Allah after the obligatory salah. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.